Good morning, my friends. Thanks for joining me today. Today is September 1st, 2022. My name is Karen, and welcome to the NeedleBugg. I'm so glad you're here. I just thought we'd do a bit of stitching together today. Uh, Oops, I can keep my head out of the camera. Did you see all the gray hair? Yeah, yeah, no, I thought we'd stitch together for about an hour and let's see how much we can get done. I'm s- I'm really having a grand old time working on this chart, which is Autumn Church by Dominique Davidson, and I'll stick it down here in the corner so you can see it. I have to make it a little smaller. So there we go, so you can see what I'm stitching. Yeah, I am just really loving this chart. I am having a hard time putting this down. A bit of an idea how much. Oh, oops, wrong one. Oh, there we go. Give you a bit of an idea how much I have done. So, so far I have, oh my goodness, 3.18%, which is 11,020 stitches are completed. So, oh, just really loving this. I think it will be my main project for quite a while. I'm kind of sort of pretty much turning into a monogamous stitcher with this one. I just really, oh gosh, my gray hair. Just front a little bit so my head doesn't get in the, yeah, that's better. um, yeah, and I'm not working on a stand today, believe it or not. I'm kind of just on a hoop holding this in my hand. And yeah, I don't know why it just feels right today. And most days, apparently. But I think the reason that it's feeling right is because here we go again. True to form. Get this up out of the way a little bit more. Um, True to form, I think I've kind of switched technique yet again. Okay, yeah. The fickle pickle is it's back at it. Um, there we go. That's just another magnet on my another magnet that's stuck to it. These are magnetic cable ties. You can get them on Amazon, and they are awesome for holding your fabric up out of the way. Um, yeah, I've kind of switched my method here again. I liked the cross country doing it the way I was doing it, sticking to a section, but for some reason, and I don't know why, but it could just be my mood of the day. I felt like I was getting lost. that my section may have been too big. So I cut it down, and I don't know, this was not that I didn't want to stitch on it, but I just was rather unsettled. I don't know why. So I decided, heaven forbid, I decided to go back to stitching on the diagonal, and in order to, I'm going to show you here, in order to kind of get it onto a diagonal, I started up here at the top, which is behind my hoop here, and I picked, you can see it on the chart, this particular diagonal, and I'm gradually moving down this. See me pointing at it. The last one that's filled in, that you can kind of see a straight edge on. I'm filling that one, which would be here. I'm filling this in, this diagonal in, and I'm filling in any stitches to the right of this diagonal line, so that when I get all the way down to the bottom, I will be on a diagonal. Now, I'm going to stitch it by color and work a string or a thread down as far as it will go until I run out, and then go back and get the next color and do the same thing. I've done that before, and I kind of liked it, and it kept my place. I was able to keep my place, but I won't stick strictly to the diagonal. I will filter, as I did here, out so that I can stagger and not get a blunt line. So yeah, I kind of came to the conclusion, and I don't like stitching that way. I came to the conclusion after some discussion with my stitching friend Barb, that because she stitches her rows, it was my head again. She stitches her rows on the diagonal uh, vertically instead of like I do, which is horizontally. But I think she does not, and she does not in her whole piece, and she's 3/4 closing in on a finish till the end of the year of bath time. And there is no evidence of any kind of column lines. And I really do think it's because she stitches vertically. And a lot of times your column lines show up vertically as opposed to horizontally. I think it's rare, in my opinion, rare that you see a column line or a page line on the horizontal. Most times, 99.9% of the time, they're a vertical line. And if you're stitching vertically, you're always having that straight line. So you don't get a definite column line because everything is stitched that way. I mean, that's just that's just what makes sense in my head. And if anybody has any other opinions about that, hey, jump right in and let us know so that we can have a chat about it and see. I and tell me I stitch vertically, and I do or I don't get lines. I mean, I think that's everybody's biggest concern is am I going to get lines in my stitching? And that's why I am not going to stick to a dedicated little bitty knot. The other reason I really do kind of like a hoop best is because I can feel the knot if I'm going to get one. You know, and that, well, that brings up another thing. If you're going to use a hoop, you're going to hold the hoop in your hand and not want to stand and stitch two-handed. You don't want a hoop. And yes, it will mean that you have to move it more often. I'm sorry, but that's that's the way it is. Um, you don't want a hoop bigger than the size of your hand. Okay, so see my hand can feel the whole back, no matter where I'm working in the hoop. Not this is a 5-inch hoop, it's not any bigger than the size of my hand. And that's why. Because you want to be able to feel what's going on back here. And if your hoop is too big, you don't you can't feel that. You can't tell if you've gotten that knot. Besides that, is a hoop that's gigantic comfortable to hold if you don't have a stand? It's not for me. I don't like holding a hoop that's giant sized. Now, if I'm going to put it on my Patoki stand or my Lowry stand, yeah, absolutely. Because then I can stitch two-handed. I can have one hand in the back to feel what's going on. But if you're gonna hold your hoop like I'm doing right now today, you don't want a huge hoop. The size of your hand is the max amount that you should go. Just my recommendation. Again, that is not a rule. You do you. If it works for you to use a bigger hoop and hold it, hey, knock yourself out. Um, because there are no rules. You do what works for you. I'm just saying that the philosophy is no bigger than the size of your hand, and the reason why, because you can't. How do you? First of all, I don't know that I could balance a big hoop. I don't know where I would put. I don't know where I would put it. So I just lay out suggestions and ideas, and what you take from that is up to you. You can try things out, or you can say, "Yep, she's full of hot air." It's okay by me. Like I said, I just throw things out there that may be of help to some people, may be of hindrance to other people. Um, but take take the things that work for you. Oops, wrong way. Take the things that work for you and run with it. You know, it's okay. And if it doesn't work for you, well, you know what? There's other options. There's always another option out there that, that can try, or come up with your own. Come up with a method that you've developed, or take take things from watch different YouTubers and take a little bit from this and a little bit from that and a little bit from this and put it all together to be your own. That's how so many saw something move by my window and it's my husband outside scared the ever loving bejeepers out of me. I thought, who's out there? It's our usual Thursday gather the trash day. That's what he's doing. Mm. But yeah, just experiment, experiment. I mean, seriously, that's what I do. And speaking of experimenting and trying new things and all that good stuff, get my place here. I'll give you an update on my floss anthology pages, the channels. Um, Super, because in the beginning, I really, really did love them, and I still do love them for certain, or maybe stitching in certain methods. However, my biggest issue is the leftover bits of I have tried several things. I've put sticky back felt on it and put the leftover, through the felt up around the tag and then back through the felt to try and control them. Um, just can't stand that those ends, those little bits flipping around. And the thing I was finding was there were times that those ends were pulling out of the felt. So it was kind of defeating the purpose of having the felt because they weren't staying. Yeah, I don't know. So again, something if you want to try. And I think right now she is out of them. The last I knew is she the place that was manufacturing them for her, I don't know, something happened and I'm not sure, did they go out of business or, but there was something and she had to look for a new manufacturer and I do not know if she found one. Uh, the last I looked on Etsy, they were out of stock. So that's something you can get right now anyway. But all that being said, back the blossom because I don't want to wrap bobbin. I'm over the bobbin kick. I no, no, don't want to wrap bobbins for several reasons. A, it's just too time consuming to sit and wrap 100 colors on bobbins. I don't like the kinks in the thread when it's on a bobbin. I prefer to have things pre-cut and be able to pull off just one strand at a time and not have to fuss with, okay, here's the 6 strand length, and okay, pull one thread out. Now I got to wrap that extra back on the bobbin, or what do I do with it? And then I stitch that length of thread, and okay, now I got to take it off the bobbin, pull a strand out, wrap it back on the bobbin. It's so much nicer to be able to just pull one thread and go. So, Lost Away Bags and I have become friends again. I'll pull it over here. So this is what I did. I found me a box, all my bags. Oh, I just took a picture. How about that? Oh, here we go. Didn't do that. Anyway, all my bags are in here, and they're all in numerical order, and they're pre-cut so that I just actually what I do is pull this whole hunk out, just pull one strand off. If anything's left, I just shove it back in the bag. And I let the color I'm working on lay out, and I have a spare index card that I stick in where that color goes so that I don't have to be rummaging through and sorting or to find out where the color is. I just stick the index card in, pull this out, use it. When it's all done, then I shove it back in and go for the next color. And I even had enough space where I could put my quartz. I also let my scissors hang out in there. This is my little wrench, ratchet. That's what it's called, a ratchet. That I use to tighten and loosen this. Yeah, that's another tip. If you haven't watched, if you're new, welcome. I forgot to welcome you, but I have seen quite a few new subscribers, and thank you all for that. I appreciate you subscribing to the channel, and I'm glad you're here. And I hope you find something that you enjoy and like, and will hang around. Um, those of you who have been watching a while, you know I love you all. Thanks for coming back. But if you have not been here before and you have not seen a video on or seen my video on putting things in a hoop, just an FYI, these wooden hoops, if you just finger tighten them, this potentially your fabric will potentially become loose, okay, because it's not tight and gripped. To keep your fabric tight, you want to get yourself, that's why this screw has a notch in it. You can either use a screwdriver or you can get one of these ratchet thingies, and you just put this on here and you tighten your screw. Now, you don't want to over tighten it or you'll strip the threads. Ask me how I know. I've done it several times. My husband yells at me. And these aren't always replaceable. I think they're metric, and I ended up writing to the or emailing the person I bought them from in Etsy to see if she had any extra ones. because I don't know that we can get them. So don't over tighten them, but tighten them, and then your fabric stays a lot tighter. Now, also the trick is when you're putting your fabric in, just tighten this a little bit. Pull your fabric tight. Tighten a little bit more. Pull your fabric tight. Till you get the tension on your fabric that you like to stitch with. Once you have that, then tighten it the rest of the way, but don't over tighten. And then your fabric will stay taut the way you like to stitch. By the way, this is a Nerge hoop, the number 2, and really these are every bit as good as the Hardwick Manor hoops. Oh my God. Brain moment. Brain moment. But they're every bit as good as the Hardwick Manor. And they're not as expensive as Hardwick Manor. And if you notice my messy bag, I don't wrap it either. I have not had an issue with these hoops leaving hoop marks, and I have left them on for extended periods of time. It's just that's what because I'm lazy. Sometimes I'm lazy that oh phooey. I'm lazy that way when it comes to hoops. I don't always take as I should. And they might be on a couple days, they might be on a week, but I have yet to be able to thread this thread. I have yet to have an issue this way. I've yet to have an issue with hoop marks. And yes, any hoop that you take off is going to give you the indents in your fabric initially, because yeah, that's because that's just the way it is. But you go back, I go back to it a little bit later and go find a needle threader. And there's no hoop mark there. They disappear rather quickly. And the other thing with hoop marks, my friends, is hoop marks that don't come out are not necessarily caused by the hoop itself. Hoop marks that don't come out are more often caused by dust, dirt, those kinds of the ones that don't come out are that's more often the case than it is from the hoop, or the hoop itself is dirty. Again, that's been my experience. I can remember, oh my gosh, it has to be, oh my, many years ago when Glenn and I were first married. And just last week, we had our 40th wedding anniversary. So it was way back in the beginnings, and Jenny, our daughter, was just a wee little thing. I did grandma and grandpa. I think they were precious, and they were then framed in a like barnwood frame with a mat around them. They were round, and then the mat was around them. And the one had terrible. Now, that was back in my beginning years of stitching. I didn't get any better at that point in time. And, well, it had marks. And I could not get those marks out to save my soul. It just was not happening. Now, fortunately, the matting covered most of it up. Fortunately. Stitches. Um, but yeah, those marks never really, they never came out. And I never took the hoop off the whole time I stitched on that. And it was a combination of dust and dirt that had gotten on the fabric. And of course, the oils in your skin don't help either, because that oil gets your skin oils get on the fabric, and then your skin oils attract the dust and dirt, and then you've never taken it out of the hoop, so you're stitching and you're kind of rubbing it in. Well, as because then well, I didn't know anything else but to stitch in a hoop at that point in time. So your fingers are constantly going over the fabric, and it was never out of the hoop, and you're I never even had to move the hoop because I used a bigger hoop. The design fit in that area, so I never even had to move it. So my touching and stitching just kind of ground in the dust and dirt, and I never could get it out, even with, of course, I didn't know any better at the time of washing a piece. Had it been later in my stitching life, I might have used some different products to try and to get all that dirt out, but I didn't know about it then. So it's a process. So hoops don't necessarily cause your marks. It's other factors that impact the hoop. But that too is just an example of how, as a stitcher, over the years, we learn new things and grow and increase our knowledge base, do things differently. And like I say, I started out just like a lot of you. I knew I knew cross stitch was an X. I knew how to stitch that X. I think I just lost my, I went too far. What the heck did I just do? Hold on. Hold the phone. Why didn't I go far enough? Wait a minute here. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. Hold Oh, I see what this was done. Hold them up. One, two, three, four, five. And oh, I see what I did. I missed a stitch. Well, guess what color that stitch is going to get? Oh, yeah. It's sky, my friends. No one's going to ever know the difference. It's sky. It doesn't matter. It's one stitch of a different color. It does not matter in the sky. Oh, wow. But anyway, that's we all learn, and that's why I try and promote to ask your questions. Read. I mean, read the groups, read the things that people do. Listen to the videos and pick up those little tips and tricks that other people do so that you can, put them in your own bag of tricks and uh, increase or expand, I guess is the word I want, expand your knowledge base to be able to maybe improve what you do or teach the next person about what to do in a certain instance or whatever. I mean, for me, that's what it's all about. How can I help you? How can I give you a tip that will make things a little easier for you, or give you that, we go, give you that little bit of a light bulb moment that says, oh, yeah, that's how you do that. Yeah, that makes sense. Now I know. Or, oh, I've been doing it this way all this time, and boy, is that way easy, a lot easier. So, as I said, I don't profess to be an expert. I'm not a professional. I am just like one of you doing this. But you already knew that. I forget what I was even initially talking about here. I kind of go down these little rabbit holes. So, I'm sorry for that. So, let's see. What are we up? How many stitches are we up to here? How many stitches are you guys up to? I'm up to 60. That's pretty, that's pretty good. So anyway, my new thing is to go back to the diagonal, but I am not going to park. Kind of, sorry guys, over parking, just over. I, I think about it. I see people using the parking method, and it stirs up a, oh, maybe I should go back to that kind of thing. But then I go, yeah, how many times have you done that? And how many times has it gotten on your last nerve And how many times did you have to sit and work the ends or work the part threads back in? Just how many times are you going to plague yourself before you say, no, I'm not going to do it. I know myself. I know that that's what's going to happen. And yet, so many times I've done it anyway. But this time, when that urge comes to go back to parking, I think I can just say, no, not gonna do it. However, one thing, never say never. Never say never. Because that will come back to bite you. Now, we all see what I am working on, right? Autumn Church by Dominique Davidson, Heaven and Earth Design. The key words there are Heaven and Earth Design. There was a time about 10 years ago, I was at my local needle workshop at the time, and we were having a stitch day. And the shop owner was working on a Heaven and Earth design. I said, ain't no way you will ever, ever, ever get me to stitch Heaven and Earth. Ain't no way. Look at all those colors. Look at all that switching of colors. Ain't no way. I will never, never stitch Heaven. Yeah. Open mouth, insert foot, and swallow. Because I have now gone back down the rabbit hole. And now I rarely stitch anything but occasionally, occasionally, every now and again, I will stitch something else. But for the most part, I have found that I do truly love stitching. And it's more it's more about the challenge stitching. Because it was a challenge to finish Stitcher's Retreat. And still, every day I look at it and go, I can't believe actually it not only stitched it, but finished. I'm still amazed. I still look at it and go, I did that? I would have never dreamed that to be. So don't ever say never, because it's not. No, because it will come back to haunt you. It will, guaranteed. Well, we have about 10 more minutes, maybe. So we've done an hour, and that's all I really wanted to do today was sit with you for an hour. Yeah. One last thing. I was very sad to see Vana, her post on Instagram. And I'm sure most of you know Vana, Twisted Stitcher. I don't know what happened. I just know that I read her post and got the feeling that someone had something mean, which is so disappointing. She is such a sweet person, such a lovely person, and shares so much of her knowledge with other people. It's hard for me to fathom that people would have not kind things. I just I just don't understand. And I of course always hold the opinion of if you don't have if you don't like what you read or you have nothing nice to say, then just scroll on. Why do people have to hurt other people? And I think from my observation, and again, I could be wrong, but I think with social media, it's so much easier for people to hide behind a keyboard and say unkind things. And that is so terribly, so terrible. I just, my heart goes out to her. I feel for her, and I hope that she does not stop making videos and sharing things because she is a lovely person and she did not deserve that. You know, and again, these are just my personal opinions. If you don't agree with me, feel free to move on to the next video or unsubscribe or whatever it is that you have. But I am going to share. What you see is what you get, ladies and gentlemen. And I am going to share some of my opinions when it comes to that. And you know, it's so disheartening that people accept and think it's okay to be unkind, especially in a social media. Well, not especially, but in a social media platform, I think people are bolder to say not so nice things. And I I would hope that people before they hide behind the keyboard and type those things, they would say to themselves, would I say this to this person if I was face to face? If I was standing in front of you, would I say this? Chances are they would. Chances are. And it just hurts. You know, I try very hard Granted, I am Mrs. No Life. My life is pretty much eat, sleep, and stitch. Visit my grandkids. You know. But when I go out somewhere to the grocery store, or the few times that I actually do go shopping anywhere or whatever, I doctor's offices especially, if I see something good or people are doing a good job, I try to tell them, hey, I really appreciate what you do. In fact, that I had to mail something back to Amazon. I wanted to return. It wouldn't, well, I first of all, I didn't have the box anymore to pack it in. Shoot, I did it again. Um, so I had to go to the UPS store, and it would not have fit in the drop-off location that is right down the street from me, because it was too big for. So I had to go to the UPS store, and there was a young man. I, I don't know, he had to maybe be in his 20s, who was just starting to work there, and it was very much appeared, because there was another gentleman there with him, it very much appeared that he was a brand new hire and was just learning the job. And his boss walked to the back for a few minutes. He was on the phone. Uh, the young man was, packing my, or deciding what packing I needed, and of course they packed it, but um, he was doing his thing to get my return taken care of, and I paid for the packing that I had to pay for and all of that stuff. And I asked him, I said, are you new? Are you just learning this job? He said, yes, I am. He said, it's my second job. I have another job, and this is my second job, I'm just learning. And he says, I'm so appreciative of having a second job. And I said to him, you know, because you don't always see this today, and having been a person who hired a lot of people, been around the block with, and I said to him, I said, it really does my heart good to see a young man willing and wanting to work, because that's not always the case these days. So it's just very refreshing. And I said, and this being your second job, kudos to you. I said, that is very, very admirable. He just kind of looked at me, and I told him, I said, I try to make it a habit of, when I see good things or nice things, that I tell people. And I said, you should be proud of what you're doing. And he said, oh man, you gave me chills. you gave me goosebumps. I said, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. He said, no, it's like he expressed his appreciation of someone letting him know that he was doing a good job, and that what he was doing was worthwhile and admirable, and that someone else appreciated what he did. It People need to hear the warm fuzzies, because people don't get enough fuzzies. So I just try to make it a little bit of a habit. Well, not a little bit, but to make it a habit of telling people, or of handing out those warm fuzzies when I see them. In fact, oh, that puts me to mind of another time. Um, I had a dental implant done, and the first time it didn't take. I ended up with, for some reason, pain underneath that implant. So I went back to the oral surgeon that was doing the implant. I had not had the crown put on. It was just it was just the empty space where my tooth was and the implant that went into the bone. So he said he tried some things and that didn't work. So we ended up eventually taking that implant out. Then I had to wait several months for bone to regenerate enough to put another one in. And this guy, oh my God, he's such a sweetheart. Went above and beyond, and he didn't charge me a dime for all the visits and the second implant. Not a dime. Plus, on top of that, he gave me a professional discount because I'm a nurse. And it was like, oh my God. Well, I said, why are you doing that? And his comment was because he valued his work and wanted it to be right. So not only did I verbally thank them, I sent them a humongous um, oh, what's the name of it? It's the bouquets that are all fruit that um, that you can send. So I sent the whole office this fruit bouquet, and it had cantaloupe and strawberries and pineapple, all kinds of things put in it, and it's made up like floral thing, but it's all made of fruit. I can't. The name will come to me when I stop recording, but I cannot for the life of me remember the name of the place. Um, but they were so appreciative of that because normally people don't do those kinds of things. So I like to do that, and I think that's part of making the world. That's all I'm going to say about that because I could go into another rant that I'm not going to go into here. It's not the place. This is a happy place and a friendly place. And I do value each and every one of you because you are all terrific. This community is fabulous and you guys are all amazing. Amazing. And I have to thank you for hanging out with me and giving up your precious time to sit here and listen to me ramble on because that's about what it is. So let's see. I did in this hour, even with little stoppings here, 105 stitches. So tell me in the comments how much you did. And I think for today, we're going to call it a day. And I will be back. Hmm, what's today? Thursday. I don't know. Might be back over the weekend with a live. I will post it uh, a day or so ahead of time that there's going to be a live session. But may just do that sometime over the weekend. So hang in there, look for that. And with that, I am going to say thank you to each and every one. I love you all. You guys are the best. And remember, the way we always end our video is the only rules in cross stitch are the ones you make for yourself. Have a great day. Have a great rest of the week. And I will see you next time. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.